We don't have the camera crew here all the time. Boom mic! Oh, I didn't even know it's the boom mic! I don't want us to have a shallow story, but I want us to have a story that we know we can really execute and deliver.
We start with discussion first, and we think about the walls of the box that we've defined.
The way we approached Starhawk was different than the way we approached other stuff in the past because we knew that we had a really fun, successful recipe with the multiplayer. And what we wanted to do is kind of take it in a slightly different direction.
There's a lot of sci-fi in video games. And so we didn't want to do just kind of what's become the bog standard sci-fi. We wanted to give it some kind of twist, something kind of unique.
There were two lines that we really needed to avoid, and one was the Space Marine line, and the other was the military line, because going both directions, you kind of start to walk in a very, very crowded field. We wanted to find something in the middle that felt like it could really stand out in that crowded market.
And we went through a few different options, and we ended up settling on Western because we don't see a ton of Western stuff in video games, and so that seemed like an interesting mix of two genres.
Yeah, so you know, we retain a lot of the tenets of the sci-fi. We've been very conscious of making it accessible for people to kind of grab hold of and hopefully take on as their own.
We tried to take those themes and pull them into a space exploration. So that really started to lead us towards what we kind of settled on as this Western push. And we wanted to really try to work into this universe a very coherent theme of why these guys are out here. And that's where we came up with the Rift Energy.
And they discover these energy rifts that pop up in different places throughout the galaxy. This is something that is a very high density, high efficiency energy source. It's the most perfect solution to the energy crisis you could basically imagine. They develop a way to mine it, and they start setting up these mining operations. So that becomes kind of a gold rush.
Really, more and more people made the rush out to the frontier to try to seek fame and fortune. Unfortunately, life as a rifter was fraught with peril and a lot less fame and a lot less fortune.
Now you're way out on a frontier. You have a survival issue you're dealing with because you don't have a whole big city and community around you. You have a very small community. You're kind of subsistence. You have to provide for yourselves.
It's very dangerous. It's very difficult, and they are very tough, strong, manly men.
And once we've got all of that set up, we've got this critical mass. It's only then that we discover that Rift Energy has that little dark side. If a human is directly exposed to it, it induces this transformation and they mutate.
The Rift Energy permeates their body, their mind, their skeleton, and they end up becoming enraged, hell-bent to protect the Rifts from the Rifters. And that's one of the factions in our game, the Outcasts. And they form these roaming war bands that go from corner to corner in the frontier, all the distant colonies, and they worship the Rift Energy. They protect it. That's at the heart of the conflict in our game. The Rifters, who are driven to mine Rift Energy and support their families and, you know, go on about the hard lives on the frontier, and the Outcast, the once humans that are hell-bent on protecting the Rifts at all costs. They're brutal warriors.
That is now a conflict that spreads like wildfire across everything in the whole entire galaxy. And that's the backdrop against which our hero shows up.
We wanted there to be a face, a character that in our now included single-player campaign that would really connect with players. That's where our character Emmett Graves comes in.
What was the question? For us, though, the story that we're trying to tell in Starhawk specifically is a smaller story set in a very vast universe. It's really a personal story about where our guy comes from and why is he the way he is.
Emmett and Cutter, their gearman, basically travel in their dropship for many, many years throughout all the distant systems in the frontier. And they become rift salvagers. You know, they found a place for themselves. And so Emmett ended up being almost like a hired gun, like a gunslinger, protecting claims, going to colonies that were being attacked by outcast warbands, and taking a very healthy share of their harvest.
And the most important portion of that crew is Cutter. He's flying above the planet in his enormous freighter truck. As you play through missions, Cutter will be your point of reference. I mean, in essence, he's a Rifter surveyor.
Heads up. You have a group of pissed-off scabs coming down at the spies.
The surveyor, while a rift mining operation's going on the ground, is always up in orbit, being able to radio down to the team that's defending the site and say, hey, you've got raids coming in from the north or whatever. And those guys can all get ready and defend the site. Cutter, separate from other surveyors, kind of has a unique technology that he's developed. And He does it in kind of a crazy way. Like, he sort of takes risks and is a little bit ballsy about it. And so that's what leads him to come up with the idea that, you know, it'd be really cool if we could shoot a building down from space. Something that seems on its face like it should be completely crazy, but he says, okay, let's do it. And so the build and battle feature of the game is a technology that he developed. That's something that's kind of unique to his character. And it's a major reason why they are able to build up that reputation as the best, because it's something that's unique to them and unique to their way of working.
And so Emmett and Cutter take the rift salvaging operation to protect White Sands, a small colony on the distant moon of Dust, from an outcast warband. And you are brought in to bring to justice this outlaw.
And then here comes this job from this little, planet. It doesn't pay very much. On its face, there's no reason they should take it. It pays way too little. It's clear the hell out there. But the things that make it attractive anyway are that, one, it's home, and two, there's just a little something that makes him think, I wonder. Let's go check it out.
Anybody that comes out here has a plan or a problem. I came back with both.
I hope they find really a satisfying story experience where they can learn the ins and outs and feel like at the end of this whole campaign, they've mastered a lot of these build and battle elements and a lot of these new kind of innovations we're throwing at you.
It's good to have a good single-player game. I love that in multiplayer games because, I like to go through single player, get comfortable with all the different weapons and figure out all the different tactics and stuff like that. I want to know this game before I go into multiplayer, so that way when I go in multiplayer, I already know what to do. I'm good.
We got a ways to go before we can stick that together into a spaceship engine.
Engage!
There is a quick economy built into the system. I kill you, you drop rift energy, I collect your rift energy, I spend it to build more stuff to kill you.